we are exploring the question, which is back here. Yeah, let's put it up. Why do we think food should be cheap? And we've been exploring this for a few weeks, and we want to share this exploration with you guys. And we'd like it if you participate, we'll ask questions, and we'd really appreciate that. So the first thing that I thought about when we started this exploration was, do I buy cheap food? And I do. I think I buy cheap food. I think that I have standards. There's qualities that I look for. There's calories that I look for. There's salts and sugars. But before I get to owning any of that food, I have to think about the price, or I think about the price. And I've noticed a strategy that I don't think I'm alone in doing, which is that I'm looking for the lowest price possible. To meet these standards at the lowest price possible. And so the next question is why? Why do I want cheap food? And I think that that's about money. The thought that came to me is money. Who here uses money? Who here would like more money? I feel the same way. I feel like I don't have all the money I'll ever need. It's a limited resource. And it's not the only limited resource that I'm juggling. There are other limited resources. Like for me, I feel like time is the thing that I have the least. What are other like limiting resources that you guys experience? You guys feel like you have everything you ever need?
Time kind of.
Time is pretty
general. A whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. What about success? Or confidence? Or what are some other things you like with family? What? Space. Yeah. Space is really limited. And so what I noticed is this recurring experience of not having enough of something, and also this other experience of buying cheap food. And I think they're related. And so I kind of mapped them out like this. Notice that I was having the experience of money, or even just hunger. Not having enough food right now was an experience of not having enough. And at the same time, I was involved in buying cheap food. And what I noticed was that when I felt like I didn't have enough, I bought more cheap food. And when I bought more cheap food, I came home with a huge bag of groceries, like a couple bags of groceries, like tons of like fats and sugars and salts and like apples and fruit from faraway places, and I felt like this was relief. I'd actually reduced my experience of not enough. So in a way, it works. I bought cheap food, and now I feel abundant. And that would be a successful model. However, what is going on that we're all pretty aware of is that's not the only thing that happens in here. I mean, of course, it's simplified. But outside of view, usually, is these unintended consequences. And what I would probably call the true costs. Costs that we don't see we're paying. And this is starting to look a lot more like a fix that fails. Because the more I buy cheap food, the more I experience these true costs that we're going to talk about in a minute, and the more I have an experience of not enough. So instead of it being just a balancing feedback loop, I have a reinforcing feedback loop that undermines my original intentions. So we're going to look at what these unintended consequences are. Because what are they? What are we actually paying for our food? And Haley's going to help us with that.
Okay, so in order to look at the unintended consequences, we made a mind map, and we have 4 major groups. There's community, economy, public health, and environment. I wanted to know if you guys have any examples of an unintended consequence if you go in any of these groups. Well, if you don't, an example for public health would be obesity, but not just obesity, there's malnutrition. Gonna help me out here?
What do you pay for? When you get cheap food, what does it cost?
No.
What are the other consequences? Sort of system.
Have a big carbon footprint.
Yep.
Yeah. Environmental degradation. Yeah. Definitely.
Students' inability to focus on thinking more, like elementary school kids who don't get enough to eat, they have a really hard time actually focusing in class learning.
You think that would go over under here?
And community, probably.
Another one we thought of for community was lack of food sovereignty. So in other words, it's the community lacks the ability to provide their own food and process it and package it because they're depending on the big agro businesses and monopolies that are now causing small local farms to fail within the community. Can anyone think of an example of economy?
I was going to also put that there's things called food deserts, which is actually, there's one in North
Community, you think?
Amherst.
Are you guys familiar with what a food desert is? If not, it's basically an area where the most readily available foods are from convenience stores or unfortunately are going to be provided with some sort of like EBT or SNAP or something like that. And so they're really low quality. It's a cheap food that are coming from not really grocery stores, but unfortunately convenience stores, so processed foods, not really fresh or local or anything that would really be considered nutritious and sustaining for like a good, healthy lifestyle.
Does anyone want to add anything to the mind map?
I do. I think for economy, it's probably a big one would be like conglomerates and big box over, I guess, those like small, community supported or just like local markets that like are run by like mom and pop.
And so when you're looking for a job,
Yeah.
you're forced to participate in a huge economic model instead of somebody, a system that actually could care about your needs.
Another one for environment could also be factory farming and like the multitude of negative effects that we can go off of that come from that.
Overproduction.
Yep.
And food waste.
Big box goes to lower wages too.
And so you support a slew of these when you shop for the price, especially for the lowest price. Even when we buy an affordable organic option, we're sometimes investing in a selection of these unintended costs.
So, my question is, how do we end up with these unintended consequences?
So we're going to use a pyramid model to look at a specific event and sort of see why we have unintended consequences, and also why, if we know about a lot of the unintended consequences, like why we continue to buy food that's cheap, like what sort of structures help us enable us to do this sort of practice. And the event we're going to use is buying a cheap apple at Big Y. I bought like an expensive apple at Whole Foods because I care about those and I care about Cold Spring, but we're going to use like, if you were at Big Y and you're like a half of apples, and these ones are like 99 cents per pound, these ones are like $1.10 per pound, and you're like weighing the options, so you're going to choose the cheaper one. So that's one event that we have here. Now I'm going to go into the patterns. I'm just going to explain the patterns that support that.
You want me to describe or you?
So for patterns, we're going to talk about, so if you pick the cheap option once, you might have a tendency to consistently buy a cheap option. So that's a pattern there. And if you're consistently going after the cheapest option, you might choose to go to stores that market themselves based on cheap food or cheap products. For example, Walmart, Big Y, Market Basket, etc. So cheap food / cheap stores. And another pattern having to do with food is choosing convenience over nutrition or other needs. And can anybody else think of patterns that have to do with cheap food or the way that we value food in our society? Just anything?
Sometimes companies will put a grocery store like right across the street from another grocery store, and you just pick the one that's more convenient, so you don't have to cut across traffic or whatever. It's great. They do studies on that.
Yes.
One of the lifestyle patterns is just busy, 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 rushing all the time.
Which is why we want what's convenient, and I think that we all do that.
that also contributes to like the fast food and the decrease in people that are growing their own food, which is a huge issue.
I think that might be a pattern in of itself too, is purchasing your produce, or even like meats, but that's like a whole other topic, but just purchasing produce instead of growing it yourself, and or
Right.
coming up with a way to do it yourself.
And also expecting a lot of food at every opportunity is like, is a pattern we expect. And, you know, when you plan a meal, we value the multi-course meals. And we want all these portions and spices.
All right. And so I think a huge pattern that has to do with food is our budgeting, which is simply the pattern of how you spend your money. And I did some research and I learned that in the US, the average American spends about 7 to 11% of their income on food, which is really low when you compare it to other places. In Europe, it's like 13 to 17% of their food. And in other places like Japan, they spend like a quarter of their income on food. But if you look at low-income people, it goes down to 50% of their budget, or it goes up to 50% of their budget is spent on food. So to me, that says that Americans are just not prioritizing their food, and that there are other things that we have to spend a lot of money on, or we're choosing to spend a lot of money on, or we're just keeping all our money and valuing that rather than our bodies and our health. So now we're going to go into some instructions.
So, yeah, there are a lot of patterns that kind of lead up to an event, but there are also a lot of structures that allow us to keep doing the same sorts of patterns over and over again. So maybe I'll open up to you guys. What are some physical structures that we interact with when we're shopping for cheap food? So structure is sort of like a noun. So like something that you interact with or use.
Roads.
Roads. Yeah, supermarkets. What about money? Like the main thing that we use buying cheap food. And
What about microwaves?
microwaves. So
Shopping plazas.
plazas. So what comes with roads is also fossil fuel dependent. So this idea that we drive somewhere to get food rather than, growing it in our backyard. So fossil fuels. Absolutely. Cool. So structures are actually like very intentionally placed and come from very intentional policies. So those are sort of, I think of policies as metastructures. They like support structures. And you're going to talk a little bit about policies. And I'm going to show that actually structures don't come from, like structures are very historical and come from very specific times and mental models that have put them in place. So I'm going to show how they come from, history.
So we explored policies that lead to the availability of cheap food, starting in 1933 with the New Deal. As part of the New Deal, there was the Agriculture Adjustment Act. So this was stemmed from the Great Depression of the 20s when overproduction brought severe crisis to farmers. This act incentivized farmers to leave their land fallow and to use practices like no-tillage practices and to sometimes slaughter too much cattle if it was using too much land. And the purpose of the Agriculture Adjustment Act was to reduce the crop surplus, therefore keeping the price of the crops fair. So that was the whole food bill, which is a law. And then in the 60s, we get this Green Revolution, which moved animal labor to mechanized labor with the introduction of structures like big tractors and mechanized harvesting. And then in 1972, there's a major transition in the food industry with policy. A man named Earl Butz was the Secretary of Agriculture of the USDA, and he is not necessarily like the villain, but he was definitely a key player into changing policy from conservative production to like he really advocated overproduction of commodity crops. He wanted to plant everyone to plant from fence post to fence post. While he was the Secretary of Agriculture, he also served on the board of directors for many food firms, such as Purina and certain farm equipment corporations and the International Minerals and Chemicals Corporation, which I think is really interesting. So yeah, so he shifted that the production model to flood the market with raw commodities, which led to an industry of cheap food.
He also was instrumental in implementing subsidies for farmers and basically paying people to make your farm big, and like industrial farming took off from there. That's like the birth of that is like grow your farm. Whereas before there were policies in place that were good that made people conserve and treat the land better. But
yeah, the subsidies were paid to farmers to not produce, and then he kind of was like, no, we'll pay you to produce more.
I think another important one that we haven't really touched on is the fact that a lot of food comes from slave labor. Like people paid very little money or are paid nothing at all. And so that was definitely intentionally done. There are policies that don't let agricultural workers have control over their wages or unionize. So that's a hidden cost and an unintended consequence is, yeah, a food industry built on, basically slave labor. So does anyone have any other ideas about historical structures that have been put in place? So we're sort of, the point of this is to see that, like, these are all actually events. You could look at all of these structures as events coming from specific mental models that people had in time. So maybe Earl Butz had the awesome mental model that, people don't matter. Let's just like, land doesn't matter. It was just like build tons of farms and take over the world with that. But like, mental models actually create real structures. So let's also say that today, our mental models are actually building real things and building events.
One of the structures is the university system, right? That supports this whole enterprise. Trains people to be part of it.
Yeah, education in general.
Yeah.
So now we're going to look at the current mental models that support this event.
sweet. Okay, so there's the main mental model that we started this project on was food should be cheap, and I think that that's one that I agree with at first, but I mean it's definitely changing. But there's tons more that go along with this project and just this idea, because there's no one mental model that's going to encompass like the way our food system works, or really any system. It's not that simple. So before we explore that, can you guys think of any mental models that specifically come out of like these patterns that also go into supporting our like idea that food should be cheap? I have a couple in mind that I can. Yeah.
I don't know about cheap, but on the environmental side of it, people that live in cities or in close communities have a smaller carbon footprint. And that's not necessarily, that's a good thing, except that they're relying on all these big farms to produce their food.
Okay.
Which kind of develops these big factory farms because there's millions of people relying on these farmers, a few thousand numbers compared to the millions that have to be fed.
So like food can come from somewhere else.
Right. But if all those people moved up to a rural community, impact carbon-wise and environmentally that could have negative effects.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if we're traveling everywhere to work in the solution.
So urbanization, maybe? I don't know. Is
Yeah.
that something along those lines? I don't want to simplify it, but
Yeah,
get it up there.
that's
So that actually goes along with like people and almost when you're thinking about your daily lives. Emily touched upon this a little bit, but we have this general idea that we shouldn't be spending a lot of our money on food. If we're only spending 10% of our money on our food, then there's definitely tons more that one could be going to things like bills and rent, which obviously needs to be paid, but there's that extra income that hopefully you can spend on something else. And we kind of talked about how there was this idea that we have a mental model of success is defined by your ability to spend money on material things other than food, whereas in a perfect world, maybe it would be shifted to your wealth is defined by how healthy you are or how plentiful you have like good quality food that's coming from a better economy.
And how
So
healthy a community.
yes, so that mental model being that success is honestly defined by having money, material things, and that's going to supporting this negative idea that our food should be cheap. That also leads to one that's pretty overarching, I think, in all of our lives, which is quality over quantity. So we want, it goes right back to what Erin was talking about at the very beginning, we want to have a lot, and we don't really care what we're sacrificing to get a lot. Or we do care, but we can't really recognize those consequences because their true cost isn't what we're paying for when we're buying our food. And it's more important to us to make sure that we can, fill ourselves up and get going for the day rather than spending money on something that hopefully would be a better option. And it also goes into the fact that we don't think about voting with our money. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that every time you spend a dollar on something, you're essentially putting your vote into a product. And if you're going to put your vote into a product of something like, I don't know, this apple at Big Y, or even a tomato, or any produce there, it is essentially going to be going to that corporation, and it's going to break down somewhere along the line and give them money to support these unfortunate negative consequences, such as degrading the environment through factory farms, human exploitation, relying on fossil fuels, etc. It's very connected.
So we're thinking that our effect doesn't matter.
Yes, exactly. So here we go. So finally, a couple more really important mental models that we had that we all along this is that one person doesn't matter, and we can't change one thing just with $1 or like our own input. Granted, you really can, because if we get one person changing and choosing to buy local or choosing to buy a better option, it will hopefully snowball into more people, and the more people we have that are divesting from poor options, even more, it'll create better options. And then finally, it all just, again, plays into why do we think food should be cheap or food should be cheap? And there's not one real answer, but there's certainly many that kind of converge and come together to make this like perfect storm of negative, I don't know, structures and systems.
But all is not lost. We saw that there are unintended consequences to this seemingly ideal fix right here, and that most of those problems happen outside of our immediate awareness. They happen to our community, they happen to our environment, they happen to our body in a way that we can't count right away. And we also saw that this event is available to us because of a huge, it's not represented here. It's a massive momentum of structures and patterns and beliefs that are making buying cheap food seem like the smart choice, seem like a good choice, it's definitely an accessible choice. And that can be really depressing. If you look at those unintended consequences and you say, boy, I really like it if human exploitation wasn't a part of my dinner. I really like it if malnutrition wasn't something that comes with keeping a job. And so my first reaction to all this is like, holy crap, like I can't do anything about this. This is huge. I don't write policies. But really, I think systems dynamics gives us the opportunity to break it down and see where we can perhaps affect the system. And so coming back to this, we've got this thing that's going on with limits. We don't have enough. Regularly, we experience not having enough, and I don't think that's going to go away. I don't think rich people, super rich people, ever feel like they have enough. I think that what we need to do notice that we have another option whenever we're presented with an experience of not having enough. It's different than buying cheap food. And I think that it's the antithesis of all of these unintended consequences, and it's investing in community. And you can actually solve the experience of not enough by investing in community. That's buying local, that's learning how to plant food, if we're just dealing with the food problem, and learning how to be involved in preparing your own food, prioritizing time in your day for that, prioritizing where your income goes and things like that. So investing in community is an option that we all have. It doesn't have to look like anything anything specific, other than that it really, you give that energy or that money to investing in community, and as a result, you reduce not enough. However, this is a shifting the burden model, because what's been going on this whole time is every time we invest in buying cheap food, we reduce the ability to invest in community, which increases our experience of not enough. This is another way to look at sort of the unintended consequences of buying cheap food. But it's not as depressing as it looks, because if you invest in community, the whole system, this reinforcing feedback loop actually reinforces investing in community. So you invest in community, which reduces not enough, which reduces buying cheap food, which increases investing in community. There's a snowball effect that takes place when you invest in community. So the littlest thing is extremely important. And I think that if any of us are dissatisfied with the unintended